Welcome to the Gym Academy podcast. Joining me today is Kurt, the owner of Grit Obstacle Training. He owns an obstacle training course gym that's kind of like the Ultimate Ninja Warrior mixed with training for a Spartan race that works with both kids and adults. During his podcast, he's going to talk about how important having solid systems is to running his business, how having a consulting company actually was the reason he decided that this could be more than just a side project, and how adding in the right systems, tools, and going to the right group coaching calls has managed to make sure that he doesn't have dead months or months that are not bringing any profit. We also share some of the crazy stories he's experienced while owning a gym like this. Without further ado, let's meet Kurt. Do you know what you started with before you started with Gym Academy and where you are like now, like the difference in income, or has it been a significant change?
It's been a significant change. Expenses have went up as profit has went up, but we are cash flow positive for 3 straight months, which is good. So it is the right time of year for it, though, too. We're coming into December's usually a good month, January, February. But we did good in November, which is the month that we started with Gym Academy as well.
So the way it all kind of starts off is we just want to hear about you, your backstory, what you do at your gym, and how you got into the gym business. Because you have a very unique model. It's not the traditional, semi-private or, lifting weights all the time kind of gym. So give us a little bit of the origin story of you.
Well, my background is in the agency world, doing large-scale events for auto shows, sports teams, things like that. And with one of the agencies I was with, we put together 3 different models for experiential types of businesses that we could create and franchise out, one of them being an experiential gym. And the experiential gym was a much more expensive version of what Grit Obstacle Training is. It did not get approved, but we kept the plans. And when I started running some different obstacle course races, I realized it's not something there's a lot of great places to train for. If you walk into your big box gym, it just, no matter how many times you do pull-ups and push-ups and things like that, it's just not going to get you through rings, monkey bars, climbing walls quite the same way. I went to a gym that was an obstacle course gym and really loved it. Also, I brought my daughter, and it was something where she and I could compete on the same level because her weight to strength ratio is about what mine was, if not a little bit better. So I saw it as something great for families and wanted to build one myself. I was out in California for an event, and I saw that there was that gym that I had went to was closing down, was having a fire sale on things. The gym was probably something that was always going to be 3 years in the future forever, just procrastinate until I die. And it was the right time where there was an opportunity and jumped on it to start something up then. So that's kind of how it got created, was just this, there's not ever going to be a good time, so just do it now. It's kind of like with kids.
Yeah, 100%. There's not the perfect moment, and every time you wait for the perfect moment, that perfect moment just keeps going farther away. So when you first started, since it's such a unique spin on fitness, what were some of the struggles you had with getting the word out about it? Because that's not something that a lot of people know a lot about, obstacle training or even Ultimate Ninja Warrior style working out, calisthenic style. How did you get the word out at first?
So similar to how a gymnastics facility would get the word out to people, we focused a lot on kids and, be like a ninja, climb like a ninja, different videos, and getting a few people in. And, we'd have sessions with 2-3 people in it, and most of our adults at that time were just parents of kids that kind of thought it was cool. It was a slow go. Plus, 4 months into our business, COVID hit, and we were shut down for 6 months too. We started out with a good bit of momentum. Then it got shut down. When we opened back up, it was about a year before we ever had a cash flow positive month again. Just people were afraid to do things. But then once we started getting more word of mouth, started doing referral bonuses, kids talking to other kids at school, and we started to really get some growth going. And then once we introduced the adult programs and started including nutrition and accountability as part of that, it became a much higher price point for adults. So each of our adult clients is worth about 3 kids when it comes to revenue, and it became a big part of growth there. It's never been, there's never been an easy day, but it's been something where you can see the light at the end, like, okay, this isn't just a little side income thing. We could actually make some money doing this.
That's always a nice realization whenever you finally see the light at the end of the tunnel and you're like, maybe this isn't just going to be my side hustle. Maybe there is some potential here. When was that moment for you? When did you finally get that breakthrough where you're like, there's actually a lot of potential here and I could make a living off of this?
It was, let's see, I guess it would have been 2024. It wasn't with Gym Academy, but we signed on with a consulting firm, and they were able to help us to get in some leads, get in some adult leads, and sell at some higher price points. And with that, we saw our best month ever, then another best month ever. And then things started to trickle out. That company went out of business. We were with a different consulting firm that was pretty good at getting us leads, not quite as hands-on, a lot more automation, a lot less person-to-person interaction. We saw some bumps there, but then it would flow back down. Then I started doing a lot of things myself, going that route. But really it was when that first consultation firm came in and said, oh, you actually can sell things that are going to make you more than a couple $100s on a person per month. There is a point where we might in weekly revenue be able to cover our bills and not have to worry about where the birthday parties and other things that we do can be the gravy on top.
I think that was kind of the first eye-opening moment for me too when I hired my first consulting agency too, because it just changes your world and what you see possible. So it sounds like you've worked with a few people now. How did you end up finding Gym Academy? What made you decide to go with them?
Well, my wife is pregnant, and she was having a pretty bad day, so we went to an IV bar for her to get some hydration as well as some vitamins put in her. And I was talking to a guy who he had a background in the gym industry, and he actually said, you really should talk to this guy Bob and get him. So he sent me a Facebook link. I didn't actually come from one of your ads or anything like that. It was a Facebook link that was sent to me, and I clicked on it. I was checking out two different places that he recommended. When I clicked on the one for Gym Academy and filled out the information, you called me right away. The other company didn't call me right away, and I never ended up talking to him. So it was about that speed to lead. That's really what landed it.
Speed to lead is key in every industry. People underestimate that so much. So you ended up coming on with us. What were some of the biggest changes that we helped you implement and helped grow your business from there?
Some of the big things was not only understanding what I was supposed to do specifically when it came to speed to lead, but also why it's important. Because if you just tell me what to do, that's going to get you a certain amount, but understanding why, the stats behind it, that's what got me to really grab onto it. And because I hate to call people over and over again, speed to lead is the way to solve that problem. Get a hold of them right away when they're most likely to answer. That was a big thing. And even when I dumped my other consultation firm, when in our exit interview, I said, you told me the things to do, but you never told me why, and now I'm doing it and getting better results. Another big thing is every consultation firm that I've worked with had told me we're going to check your ads on a daily basis. We're going to do updates. We're going to do this and do that. Then things never really changed. We would talk about it, but then there might be a little bit differences in creative here and there. But with Gym Academy and working with Michael and that, it is a constant hey, we're going to send a new message. We're going to change the offer. We're going to spice things up. We've just watched your lead costs go up by 20%. So it's time to throw something new out there. And it might be the exact same thing, just with different wording, but it grabs people's attention in a different way. Also, your training calls that we have on a weekly basis are much better. And when we do the call reviews and we do the marketing stuff, it's not just, hey, let's role play some stuff, and we've got some very, very, very green salespeople who are trying to learn very, very basic things. Instead, we're reviewing things, tweaking things, and let's just say it's never boring. It's never just this person's umming and ahhing a lot, and it's tough to get through. It's actually beneficial for salespeople at every level, I feel like.
I think that was one of the biggest things whenever I came on too, was those weekly sales calls just blew me away. They just always are so well structured, and they do such a good job with actually laying out what you need to learn and focusing on that topic the entire time. It's definitely a unique experience. Since you started working with Gym Academy and you started going to the sales calls and you started improving speed to lead and understand the why behind things, what impact has that had on your business? Well,
November is usually a very slow month for us, and we went from every year being in the red in November to being in the black by about $5,000 in profit, which is great. I think we were up almost $10,000 versus the year before in November. And that was our first month. We started with you guys. November 5th was the day we started running things through there. December, we had a good December. December is actually our highest month ever. We do have a lot of people that renew for a year at that time, but we were able to still get in some new clients in a month where really nobody signs up for a gym in November. It's very rare. We're able to get in some new clients then, even through the holidays, through some promotions we were doing. And then January, I think we added about 25 new people. And you guys have even helped us to not only tweak our adult-focused ads, which is the main piece, but also our free trial ads for kids. And we're starting to talk about summer camp stuff and that now. And then February, we've sold, I think, 10 new people so far this month, and we're at the 19th. So it's still going for 25. That's the goal. I'm excited about going forward because as I look into March, that's usually where it starts to tail down. I can usually predict our year based on January and February. Like January and February are good, and then just pray we have enough money to survive until next time. There's only like when school year starts for kids and when our summer camps are running are the only other big cash flow pullers. So if we can continue at that 20 to 30 new people per month in March, that is going to be a type of revenue that we've never even, it's been a dream, not a reality for sure.
That's absolutely amazing. Being able to have that consistency and not worry about like, oh no, all my revenue's dropping off next month is a complete game changer. Out of curiosity, how do you do your sales? Do you go straight into like long-term packages, or do you do a monthly recurring membership? Kind of walk me through your sales process, because I'm curious, having an influx of members like that's amazing, but is it all just front end, or do you have a really good retention strategy for like monthly recurring? How does it work for you?
For us, we start out, most of our adults are starting out on a 12-week or 8-week package, full service, nutrition, accountability, everything. Our downsell to that is a workout only package, which that covers your first 4 weeks, that starter package. Then it goes week to week after that with either of them. So I have it set up in our system where I get notifications when a person has 3 weeks to go as well as 1 week to go in their package before it's going to end, so that we're making sure we're following up and getting them set up for future before we actually get to that point, because we obviously don't want to lose people. Everyone is expected to continue on, and even from the consultation we're talking about, this is the jump start to a longer term journey. Like, we're not wanting you to yo-yo back and forth. So our retention has been incredible when it comes to adults. Kids, you have sports seasons, different things that come, but even when they leave for whatever season they're in, I would say 80 to 90% of them, we're getting set up for a return date that is already in the calendar, that they know when it is, and they know when their billing is going to turn back on.
It sounds like you're a very systemized person. Like, you have a lot of structure around like things whenever it comes to when someone's about to come up, you get notified, things along those lines. Do you do most of that through automations, or do you have a team that keeps track of it for you? How do you keep track of all that? Because it sounds like you got a lot of moving pieces to your business.
It's all through automations. So we use what you guys have for lead flow, same program. And with that, I just have some special customized fields and workflows that then let me know when certain things are coming up. My biggest thing is just remembering when that person gets started to put in the date when it's going to end, so that I've got that, because I used to keep a notebook and everything with it, and that worked to a certain extent, but it wasn't perfect. And all of a sudden I wouldn't see Susie, and I'm trying to find out what's going on, and like, oh crap, her thing ended 2 weeks ago and I just haven't noticed.
Yeah, that's a common problem with whenever you do anything that has a defined end. Nothing's worse than realizing, oh wait, this 12-week program has been over for 14 weeks. Or worst case scenario, I've had this happen to me, where 14 weeks in, this person's still showing up and you didn't realize that their program's over and they still been getting free training basically, and no one's tried to upsell them. It definitely leads to complications down the road. So I'm glad that you have a good system in place for that. What's your plans moving? Oh,
I was just going to say, sorry, years ago I had a situation where I had somebody that was with us for 9 months before I realized that this kid's parents were not getting billed for anything. And it was just my mistake of not getting things set up properly.
Yeah, it's such a double-edged sword. You're just like, well, I'm super glad that you're joining the training, but man, I just missed out on a couple $1,000s for no reason. So now that you have a solid foundation laid and you got most of your systems in place and you have a clear path for making sure you have recurring revenue coming in, what are you going to be focusing on more in 2026? Are you going to be focusing more on building up your team? Are you just going to keep hammering away at trying to get more clients? What's kind of your goal for this year?
Building up the team is huge. Like right now, I'm looking for a part-time trainer, possibly 2 part-time trainers, and then my lead trainer to try and help him be there long-term. We're looking toward him doing some of the sales and some of the follow-up calls with a commission structure, because he wants to earn more, and he has a history of doing well in the past with sales. We just have to make sure that he is now up to date on what we're doing today versus what we were doing a couple years ago. But those are the big things: is securing staff, helping them feel valued, and then bringing on more so that I can get off of the training floor and focus more on the marketing, sales, that side of things, which is what's going to help make the gym more.
Putting your time on the big money movers, that's the important things. How far out do you think you are from getting off the sales floor, since you have a consulting agency helping you now?
I would say by the time we get in, if we get in a good part-time trainer, after a couple weeks, maybe even because if they're not having to be there by themselves, maybe a couple weeks from that point, then I can remove myself from all but one day. And then if we get 2 of them, then I won't even have to run our 5. Right now I run our 5 a.m. sessions, which works out pretty well. But.
You're a brave man. 5 a.m.s are rough.
So it's actually our busiest sessions is at 5 a.m. But once I can pull myself away from that, if I get in 2 trainers, I definitely can pull myself from all. But there might be still a couple days where I'm in there, either as an assistant or just overseeing. But my goal is to really just be in there when there's trials, when there's consultations, and then eventually those ones that my lead trainer isn't handling himself. Because if he's very motivated, he won't want me there for them.
True. Get the big dog out of the seat so that he can, take care of everything in the shop. So you have big plans for expanding and growing into having more coaching staff. Once you get some of that time on your back for you, are you planning on trying to open up more locations? Are you planning on expanding this location, or just trying to get as much out of what you have right now?
Really, right now, it's about getting as much out of what we have. There is another place nearby that is more of just an adult-focused boot camp style gym that happens to also be called Grit. It's just called Grit, though. And it's about 15 miles away from us because I know they're struggling. I've looked at the idea of seeing if they'd ever consider having me take it over. That's more of a dream than a goal, I guess. It'd be nice to have a location that's only focused on adults that I can do a little bit more with. But no, for right now, it's maximizing what we're doing here and really trying to get a little bit of time back, just because we really haven't done vacations because if I'm gone for a week, I either really have to negotiate with people to be able to get them to cover things, or I have to close down and just say we're not going to have X and X and X for the next week.
Yeah, nothing's worse than realizing that you just own a very committing job and you can't ever get away from it versus a business that actually makes you money while you're away. But it sounds like you've got all the systems and the frameworks in place to build that out, and it's coming up shortly for you. Are you using a lot of AI in your business currently?
I am, yeah. So for instance, if I don't answer the phone for the gym or my trainer doesn't, then after 10 seconds it goes to my AI assistant and then she answers. Sometimes they'll ask to come back to me, it'll forward to me and leave a voicemail. When people text in, I have my prompts pretty well done so that AI answers most questions. Have booked a lot of people into trials and that too. But I make sure I go back and look at them. It's not just to set it and forget it. Like, I'm monitoring everything, but the thing I like is you can message us or call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Someone's going to answer and someone's going to respond. How well they do is debatable, but at least they're getting something back. They know we exist.
I think it's so much better than just going straight to voicemail, that's for sure. Especially since, I don't know about you, but I don't check my voicemails nearly as much as I should. People undervalue the power of automation, especially appointment reminders. It can change the game for making sure that you actually get people to show up, which is something that I always recommend people focus a lot of their time on in the beginning, because once you get it dialed down, then you don't even have to worry about it again, because it will just repeat itself and it's off your plate, peace of mind. So since you have such a unique business model, you do more of like the Ultimate Ninja Warrior, calisthenic, obstacle course training kind of thing. What's some of the craziest things that's happened in your gym?
Craziest thing, this isn't a great story, but craziest thing is because we do have things like warped walls and stuff like that, you have to teach a lot of technique and how to run up, how to come down. And one of the big things that we teach kids is don't turn on the warped wall. Angled surface, that's a good way to twist an ankle. We had a kid, in 6 years, let me preface this. In 6 years, we've had 7 injuries. I feel we have a very good ratio. We just happened to, about 2 months ago, have a kid who turned on the warped wall in front of a class full of 20 people and broke both his wrists. He just slipped, crashed down, broke both his wrists. Definitely was not doing good, but it then becomes something that you have to indirectly make sure everyone understands is a safe place still. Because It's our busiest session of the week. It's tough to deal with. But some of the positives that came from it is now I use that experience as a reminder, like, hey, we are going to do a safety talk before every single kid session, as well as make it loud enough so the parents hear, because we've started really implementing it now, where I will tell and make sure our trainers do as well, to say, okay, we need to keep a safe environment. We've got a lot of you here. We're going to be doing a lot of things. I want to keep it as fun as possible, but we have to keep everybody safe. So if you're not following the program, I'm sending you to go sit with mom until I'm ready to let you back in. So now you get the parents. I don't care how many of them are right here. They heard that. And now if their kid comes over crying because they just got kicked out of class, mom's now the disciplinarian instead of me. And then a few minutes later, when we move on to the next thing, Jimmy, are you ready to get back in here? And then they'll come back in. So it's been a thing there of just making sure that the kids and parents know I do not have time to slow down the session. I want to make sure that the kids that are listening well never stop moving and get the best time of their lives. And it's worked out really, really well to make it so that our trainers can lead more people than they could have previously.
Knowing that a lot of the parents there are probably using this as like their break time from their kids, I guarantee so many of them hear that and they're like, you better not misbehave because this is my time away from you. I don't want to be the parent, the kid that walks over to my mom who's trying to just relax right now because I was misbehaving, that's for sure.
Well, and it's the walk of shame. It's embarrassing to every parent. Oh, my kid again? Oh, crap.
So you work with a lot of kids. How do you manage to keep their attention since there's so much going on all the time? I imagine it's kind of like wrangling cats.
In a lot of ways it is. So we gamify a lot of pieces. So instead of doing warm-up stretches, we do animal movements. And so everything's named after, we're going to do bear crawls, crab crawls, we're going to do flips and rolls, just different things that are going to get their heart rate up, but also get them a stretch as well. When we do our exercise, when it's time for push-ups, sit-ups, squats, I have an exercise die, and then we'll put up different targets. If you hit the target, you get to pick an obstacle. Everyone has to do your obstacle of choice, and you get to lead it. If you miss, we're doing on that die for how many reps I pick. So it helps to gamify things. Kids know that, okay, if I don't do the exercise, I'm either getting kicked out of here and have to go sit by mom, or I'm not going to get to move on to the fun stuff. And so we'll split things up. We're going back and forth between different spots. One thing that I did not like when my daughter was in gymnastics before we opened the gym is how much time you'd spend waiting in line for the next thing. So instead, we try and make sure we have 4, 5, 6 things going on at once so that there's no lines. Everybody has a spot to be behind 1 or 2 other people max. And it's helped to keep things moving. Parents really like to see the kids come out just soaked in sweat. So it's something where they're not getting that at other places where they might be more focused on sticking a landing than they are about rolling into the next move like you can with parkour. Just gives you a little more freedom.
How do you manage all that going on at once? Do you do this, is it one trainer per session, or how do you just have like multiple eyes in every part of your head? How do you do that?
1 trainer per 10 kids is what we try and go with. So we cap our sessions at 20, and if it's more than 10, especially in a kid session, then I'll try and make sure that we have myself and our lead trainer on staff. Yeah, so we'll split them up. Like for instance, today during our 6 to 9 year session, I'll be doing the speed course, which is all just parkour. You're flying through and 6 or 7 different things, and you just find that kid that listens well to be the lead, and everyone else is following. And that kid that listens well, that's the lead, you make that the coolest kid there, and then everybody wants to be like Susie or Johnny, whatever it might be. And then at that time, Dylan is over and he's doing the dice rolls at our warped wall where they're throwing stuff at targets. They're doing that, and then after 7 minutes, we'll switch sides and we'll go that way. And that'll take up about a third of the session. Then other stuff you're able to do together. If we're doing warped wall, there's 3 warped walls and you're having them go line by line by line, hitting them all, moving to the rock wall. You'll have mini courses that they're going between. When you get into something that's more complex, you've got to slow it down a bit, like trying to teach foot placement for a rope climb. But when it's warped wall, rock wall, cargo net, rings, the kids know that pretty well, and they've done stuff like that on the playground enough. You just have like someone over by the warped wall to make sure everyone's doing it with proper form, someone by the rock wall to make sure people know where they're going, and then the cargo net and rings just kind of come naturally. Okay,
so you work with a lot of kids, but you also work with adults. So with the adult side of things, do you focus more on the parkour style obstacle course training, or do you do more of the like calisthenic workout styles of training, or do you mix both of those as well?
Definitely more of the calisthenic workout style. Our adult sessions start out with a stretch. So a dynamic stretch, loosening up while warming up the heart too, and then we'll go into some sort of a circuit. What I like to tell our adults is they're never going to see the same workout for at least 2.5 weeks. And so they're coming through. They might have a 15 station workout. Then another time it might be a reverse pyramid between cardio and strength movements. And that's usually going to last the first 25 to 30 minutes. From there, you're going to have the people that are going out to do obstacles for still more full body work and more skill-based work. And then you're going to have other people that are going to come and just do core because they're not comfortable with obstacles yet. So that's part of, especially as we're going with these adult programs, if I've got someone who's coming in who's 65 years old and wanting to lose 40 pounds, it is usually more intimidated by obstacles than anything. So for that person, my first thing when they walk in the door is settling them down when they think, I can't do any of this, I should walk out right now. It's actually one of our biggest challenges when it comes to first timers coming in is realizing like, no, this is adaptable to you.
I'd imagine that is pretty hard considering they'll see some of these people running up this warped wall, some of them like jumping from obstacle to obstacle like a spider monkey. I could see that being pretty intimidating. How do you navigate that? How do you make them feel more secure and safe in those situations on their first few days? It
really is just letting them know that it's totally fine to not go and do that, and helping them when we are going through a circuit to know, okay, well, no, you don't have to flip the tire. Here's a weight, and we're gonna do some deadlifts with that here for a lightweight. And when we're over here, when these people are doing handstands, you're gonna do a shoulder press. Those sorts of things to help people to understand that they're in a good spot. And there's plenty of people in that situation. The person who is doing strict pull-ups with no kipping and getting their chin over the bar, there's less of those than there are the person that are pulling down bands. You're more making that person who's doing pull-ups feel like the ultimate versus making anyone else feel less than.
That makes perfect sense. I imagine it takes a lot of finesse to navigate that, so it probably takes a lot of personal skills that are hard to transfer. But I am kind of curious. You've told us this crazy story with one of your kids. Do you have any crazy stories with your adults?
Yeah. So we had a lady who was with us for a while, and she was definitely in the stage of dementia of trying to work with her. So every time we'd work together, it was kind of like you were starting over. And so it took a lot of one-on-one time, a lot of guidance and that, but helping her to be able to get to the point, not only going through movements and that, but being able to do them with confidence. It just took a lot more than you would have with a regular client that's coming in. It's things like that can be big, where just someone is starting out at such an early level that you really have to do a lot of adapting. And that's where, when we talk about semi-private sessions become a big thing. Like in a group of 20, you wouldn't be able to do that. So not only having to navigate okay, what session are we going to put this person in? But then even to the point of thinking, okay, does this person need to be at a different price point than other people because of the time and effort it's going to take? Those have been, in times, some difficult conversations to be able to say hey, I think we need to move you over here. Basically, you're not saying it that's a bad way to word it, but saying, we need to move you over here for your own benefit. We're going to get a lot further that way, but with that, it's also going to be X versus Y. And I think that's some of the stuff that with the adults, you really have to understand personalities, have to understand how to properly communicate so that they know that it's for their benefit and that they buy into the idea of it. And you really do always have to have their best interest at heart, because if I can really easily just throw you in a session, but you're never going to get everything out of it. And eventually you're going to get frustrated, and you're not only going to think, well, this doesn't work, you're going to think nothing works. And you're just going to, potentially just fall into a depression and never try working out again. Most of the people that we talk to haven't done anything in multiple years, but they've been thinking about it for multiple years. If you don't give someone what really they should have, and instead you give them what they'll accept, I hate to be morbid about it, you might be giving them an early death sentence. It really could be that big. I've met with plenty of people where they're talking about wanting to see their grandkids grow up, and if they don't get signed up, I have a certain amount of guilt, I couldn't help them get into anything. That person at that age, at that weight, with those problems, they are not going to see their grandchild get married. And it's sad, but it is something I think about quite a bit.
And that just means you're an amazing gym owner, because you do truly care about the individuals and their health and their futures and their goals. That's something that is easy to kind of put on the back burner because we see it so often it becomes kind of mundane for us. But the fact that you still care so deeply is amazing. And we mentioned already that you have amazing retention, and it sounds like a lot of it has to do with just how personalized and how hands-on you are with everybody you interact with. But I'm kind of curious, there's always those few that decide, you know what, maybe this isn't for me, I'm going to go ahead and leave. Have you had a situation like that where you're able to actually bring them back and walk them through a path where they didn't end up leaving?
Oh yeah, we've had people that were dead set on, after this program, I can easily walk into Planet Fitness and do this myself. And with those people, it usually doesn't come down to me. It comes down to the relationships that we've helped them build with other clients. Because the only thing better than the guy that takes your money really wanting you there is that other person in their session that has no vested interest that they're part of a text group for, that says, oh, I'm really going to miss you. Because that's a lot of times what's driving them into the gym. It's a big thing, but yeah, we've had a handful of people that have been like that. I've got one guy, we just started his 3rd year with us, but from the consultation, he was like, this is going to be a 6-week program, and then I'm going to learn what I need to know and go somewhere else. And he's re-upped every time because he realized, like, the moment it's not in my calendar, it's not going to happen.
I think that's the best retention strategy ever, is making sure they understand that, yes, you might learn the knowledge, but the accountability is going to be what keeps you there. And the community and the people there that actually care about you being there, that's something you're not going to find at Planet Fitness. Obviously, you have a lot of good things going for you, and you have a lot of big plans coming up. Where are some places that people can follow you to keep up with your gym and some of the stuff that you're doing? So
we are at Grit Obstacle Training on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube. I don't have a TikTok. I'm too old. We'll go with that excuse right now. And then also Kurt Sab, KURTSAB, on all those same spots as well.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'll go ahead and make sure those are listed below in the show notes. Definitely keep up with Kurt. He's got an amazing gym, and it's very unique, and he posts some pretty cool videos of some pretty amazing acrobatic feats that I don't think I could ever do. So I know that we're coming up on time here. I always like to end these podcasts with one important question. What is one thing you wish you would have learned sooner in business?
In this business, I really wish I would have known sooner the importance of speed to lead. When it comes down to it, I think about how many leads that came in that I just waited for them to see if they were going to book, or thought automations would take care of everything for me. And because I love the idea of AI and what it can do, like really trying to trust that. I really think that hurt us quite a bit, or just left a lot of opportunity on the table of thinking like, oh, no, everything will work out and this is just the way it goes. Because the amount of people that we're booking now compared to before, and the amount of money the amount of return that we're getting on our leads now compared to before is vastly different. I would say the automations are the higher value piece. Building out different systems that will just, I'll give you, for example, like when somebody has a booking and it's a couple days away, and being able to get those reminders out. Because if you're dealing with what I want to be dealing with 50, 100 leads per week, it's tough to keep track of all of those and to do all the follow-up yourself. So if I can have those reminders go on that sound relatively natural, or even when you're talking to somebody, letting them know they're going to get a couple reminders, I think that's key, because people have busy lives and they're going to forget. And you have a busy life and you're probably going to forget to follow up with everybody. And then 15 minutes before your appointment, you're sending a text and reminding them while they're at the soccer game with the kids.
But thank you so much for joining me today, man. I appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me. Good talking to you, Josh.